Looking to start a podcast but don't know where to begin? Look no further. The team at Dodge Media Productions has 20 years of experience as podcast listeners and observing the industry and 8 years experience in podcast production. We can help you take your podcast from idea to fruition, and we'll make the process seamless and easy. We'll help you with everything from recording and editing to hitting the charts on Apple Podcasts. So what are you waiting for? Contact us today and let's get started. DodgeMediaProductions.com.
You're listening to Dodge Movie Podcast. Your hosts are Christy and Mike Dodge, the founders of Dodge Media Productions. We produce films and podcasts, so this is a podcast about films. Join them as they share their passion for filmmaking.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Dodge Movie Podcast. This is episode 148, Two Night Stand from 2014. This is available on Stars, and if you want to get it for free, you can do what we did, which is sign up for the 7-day free trial.
7-day free trial.
And I canceled that today since we're all done with it. The director of this film is Max Nichols, who is the son of Mike Nichols.
Ooh, Mike Nichols?
Mm-hmm.
What did he do that I know him from?
Mike Nichols?
Yeah, a bunch of stuff.
Oh, Lordy.
Hey, you don't have to look it up. Just asking.
Mike Nichols.
Jeez Louise, that photo made him look like Danny Kaye.
So, Mike Nichols we know from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, The Graduate, Catch-22.
That's it, The Graduate. That's what we know from.
Silkwood, Heartburn, Biloxi Blues, Working Girl, Postcards from the Edge, we've talked about.
On the podcast.
Regarding Henry, The Birdcage, Primary Colors, What Planet Are You From? And the last film that's listed here is 2007, Charlie Wilson's War.
I think he maybe passed away, but Birdcage is probably more.
Mr. Nichols died in 2014.
Okay. All right. There we go.
So, wow. And this film came out then. So Max did a T-Pain video in 2006, and in 2017, he did an episode of Day 5.
Do you mean T-Pain, like the winner of season 1 of The Masked Singer, T-Pain?
Yes. Okay. And this film, The Two Night Stand, was his feature directorial debut.
Oh, I think it's a good one. Good job, Max.
Yeah, good job.
Strong out of the gate.
Yeah. It stars Leo Tipton, who at the time of this filming, her name was Anna Lee, and Miles Teller.
Who really, his nickname should have been Bank. That joke.
Why did that take me so long? Because I told you that joke when we were watching the film.
Yeah.
It also stars Jessica Zor.
I don't know how you say that. Yeah.
Zor. Let's say Zor.
Okay. She can write in and tell us.
Yes, I would love that. And Kid Cudi.
Isn't he like a singer, rap, R&B kind of guy?
I believe he's a rapper. We both sound so old right now.
Oh, I should tell the listener that I know no pop music.
I'd always heard the name Kid Cudi and didn't have a face, and now I do. The DP is Bobby Bukowski. I love that name.
That name.
God, I love
But doesn't that
Bukowski.
Sound like an East Coast guy? We got Bobby Bukowski on this film.
You need that done? Call Bobby Bukowski. He will get it done.
Is Bobby Bukowski available?
He brought us 1999's Arlington Road and 2005's Boogeyman and 2009's The Messenger. He was the DP on all those films. This was filmed in New York City. Almost a bottle ep, really, if you think about it.
That's what I was going to say. They do have a couple scenes in Megan's apartment and then the police station. But other than that, most of the film does take place
in an apartment.
A ridiculously large apartment. Coming back
Can you imagine setting your film entirely in one space?
Right. What if it was like 6 feet by 8 feet? That would be insane. What person would do that?
Right. The writer...
Another person would do it just in an apartment.
The same person.
Yeah. Holy vey, that guy should have his director's card revoked.
The writer is Mark Hammer, who did 2022 Shotgun Wedding and You'll Be the Death of Me.
Not ringing a bell?
Nope. But I'm just giving you the facts.
I do like the script, so he did a good job.
He did a good job. Okay. The synopsis for this film is a snowstorm forces two people who made an online connection, wink, wink, to
wink,
unwillingly extend their one-night stand as the blizzard goes through the night. So, quite the premise. I mean, it's a really, really good premise. The thought that here you've just had this kind of little hookup, and you
Right.
just awkwardly want to
What would
peace out.
prevent the person from leaving?
Right. And
Yeah.
so now we force them to stay together.
Right.
Yeah, it's great. Tagline for this film, I got 2 for you. Before love, after sex.
Not that good.
And a love story for their ages. Yeah, that one. They're both a little on the weakish side. Much like we talked about a couple weeks ago, this one was on the blacklist in 2011, and I believe the films we were talking about when I talked about the blacklist were also 2011.
Yeah, I don't know about the year,
Which
but
is within the same theme that we have this month, so it is very interesting.
Yeah, apparently films with that theme are maybe more likely to end up on that blacklist, right?
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Production was supposed to start in October of 2012, but that's when Hurricane Sandy hit New York City, so it caused a gas shortage, and that meant no power for generators and the trucks. So they actually did start filming. They put the 2 of these kids in this apartment and basically said, go. So they must have had, I don't know, batteries or I don't know what, but they were filming very, almost immediately after Hurricane Sandy.
Huh.
Not wild?
That is wild.
Okay. Hit me with your pickup line.
Okay, this one is going to invoke the censors. There's some of the 7 words you can't say on television
Mark
here.
this one explicit.
Right. Shit. Fuck. And that's from Megan. And then the weatherman on TV mentions a possible blizzard, which is closer to actually talking about what the film would be about.
Right. Yes. It informs us without realizing it, right? It's exposition and it's setting up the stakes
because
and everything.
at that point, we don't know that she's going
idea.
anywhere. Yep.
I believe that Miles Teller filmed this right after Whiplash. So as far as casting, we knew Anna Lee, now Leo, in
Crazy Stupid Love.
Crazy Stupid Love. And obviously he was in Whiplash. So pretty good gets, I would
They were.
think.
I would say at the time they weren't quite as well known, but yes, the good get for a small independent film like this, right?
And I thought really good acting from everyone in the film, but specifically these 2, because he was just kind of like he was a sweet kid. He was like, okay, a girl wants to come over and hook up. All right, I'm down. And they had cute banter in the very beginning. And she kind of was a little manic pixie dream girl. I mean, she had a little bit of a...
So we, this is why I think the storytelling is really good in that at the beginning of the film, we have a different idea of who they are as people that changes as we learn more about what got them to that spot, right? And so at first we think he's just a bro who's online looking at porn, and this girl messages him and he's like, okay, sure, come over, right? But then we find out later that there's a motivation for him to have a casual hookup. And the same with her. We at first think she is just kind of this flighty, kind of shut-in, basically loser. And then we find out more that she is responding to some other things that happened in her life. And one of the things that is prescient about this film, I think, that really resonates, I bet, with people now is she got an entire bachelor's degree and doesn't want to ever do anything with it. And I suspect that there are people who are, 25 right now who can resonate with that character. If I did what I was supposed to do, I just kind of fell into this thing, and then 4 years later I graduate and I don't want to do that. What do I have to do? I kind of wasted 4 years. So I thought that her character went from being not particularly likable because she was, sitting around in her sweatpants and she didn't have a job. Her roommate talked about how long it had been and she didn't help with anything. But then we find out later kind of the reasons why this might be. So.
Right. What about the cinematography? Considering that we have a snowstorm outside, we're going to have lots of blue-hued light probably coming in, although I guess we're inside, and so it's going to maybe have a warmer cast. But what did you think about, and they are in this kind of nondescript bachelor pad, as it were.
Right. So they had a couple things that I really liked about kind of the general filmmaking or visually. Well, the first one is the credits were intermixed with her filling out a dating profile, which I thought was kind of clever the way they did that. But there's a montage, which I love.
You love a montage.
The trying to get a hookup online montage. And then there's a neat little insert of something he mentioned earlier in the film in dialogue, is oatmeal with a jelly smiley face. So I thought that was good. But really, the only note I have of kind of classic camera work that is, I think, really fantastic is at the end of the film, she comes out of the police station and she decides she is going to call him. And as she's talking, Miles tells her, like, great timing, they coordinated. He walks into the background of the shot, but they did it with such a shallow depth of field that at first it's almost like you don't know it's a person. And then I knew it was him because I'd seen the film before. But then he slowly walks into focus while she's talking to him on the phone. It was really such a sweet shot. Really, I really enjoyed that.
That's awesome. And so as far as writing, what did you think of the idea or even just the theme of, okay, we because they have sex and they're trapped and they kind of get over the initial stuff and then they start talking about what they did right or wrong during sex that they liked.
Right.
And they decide, why don't we capitalize on this opportunity that we have no feelings involved, but if you give me, you know, like the pro and con of sleeping with me and I'll give it to you. And so they test and so they do that. They talk about that, which that is kind of provides some, I guess, humor and different things. And so they are like, okay, let's test our theory. If we both do what the other one said they would have rather or have done. So it's almost like they're scientists of sorts, right? Can we improve upon our own abilities?
I'm going to put the over-under at about 1 million of guys who have tried that line. Like, oh, I'm just trying to help you get better at your technique. This is for science. Yeah, I actually, on the second watching, I don't buy that quite as much. I think there were probably more feelings there because, so here's where it first starts to me is the morning after, right? So she gets up and tries to sneak out and the alarm goes off. So she's pretending to be bed. He gets up for that and then he comes back to bed and he goes right back to sleep. No, I think if you're in it for the Humpty Hump, like she's awake, you're awake, there's nowhere to go, you're going to offer round 2 right away. So that's why I don't buy it later when he's like, oh, hey, just in the name of science, right?
I don't know who had the idea. Was it him or her?
Well, she originally, I think, gave him feedback, and then he said, well, why don't we go try out our new techniques? Yeah, I think, and so watching it the second time, I bought less his innocence, right? I saw it as a bit more like, oh yeah, you landed it, but this is a shtick, right? So that part of it, I do like the premise of open communication and, you know, talking about their needs and all those things are good things. And maybe kind of the setup of there's nothing to lose because they keep saying like, oh, I'll never see you again. And this reminds me of when Harry met Sally, right? He's like, oh, you know, and does that lower the stakes? Can people be themselves more honestly if they think, oh, I'll never see this person again? So I think the premise of the film is fantastic. But as I mentioned before, watching it a second time, I think he was up to something sooner than I realized the first time I saw the film.
I realized in watching this film that I would be homicidal if I was trapped in an apartment with no food.
Yeah, so that was okay.
That unnerved me.
That bumped me, right? But I think there's an explanation for it. It makes sense. When I first saw the film, I thought, okay, first of all, he's an assistant bank manager. He makes enough money to have groceries, and he presumably wouldn't get that job if he had no organizational or planning skills at all, right? But the second watching through, it still bumped me, but then I realized, oh, I think we're supposed to think that he's that upset about the note that he found, that his previous girlfriend was going to break up with him, that, you know, it drove him to all sorts of impulsive behaviors. And then to me, it landed a little bit more like, okay, he might not have food. And as we've talked about before, one of my very good friends, when he was that age, had nothing in his refrigerator.
Well, I think a combination of that, and I know in New York City, there's a lot of eating out. You just, it's almost, it's hard because your refrigerator's small and your cupboards are small, and you have to walk to like the bodega to get, you know, whatever your stuff. So it's not like you're going to do a Costco run, like you're a big haul. And so I could buy it because he probably, especially like you said, if he was upset with his previous situation, that he would be either not eating at all or just get a pizza, or he would get a burrito or get a hot dog on the corner previous to this. And so he wouldn't have. I'm just saying if I...
Right. And another thing, because I just realized my one caveat to that would be, oh, well, they said there might be a blizzard coming, but we have dialogue where he says, you New Yorkers are such wussies, you'd never make it a winter in Minnesota. So that would explain to me why he would think, well, of course I can just walk someplace and get food.
Right.
You whiners.
Right.
This is just a little snow.
Exactly.
I will say, though, I was curious about, I know how snow could trap you in because big buildings with public spaces, the doors open out instead of in. So, a pile of snow would make it hard. But I would presume that there's like a building super who has an answer to that so that his tenants can get out of their building. So I would think, like, if it snows, you have snowplows on the road, wouldn't you have a guy that's supposed to go out and shovel the walkway? I don't know.
Was there... Because I wasn't listening as carefully to the weatherman. I wonder if there was, like, I do remember him saying, like, so just stay in, but it wasn't like a state of emergency, everybody stay home.
Right.
By the premise, by the bet.
By the premise, by the bet.
If they're focusing on the fact that they can't get out of the building, we've already lost them.
All right. So apologies to Mr. Nichols that I am that guy. I am the viewer who's like, why don't they just pull the pins off the door and let it fall inward and then they can walk out all they want?
Oh, because the pins would have been on the inside. Yeah. Okay. Was there anything about Megan's apartment versus his apartment that stood out to you?
Well, I didn't really notice much. We really didn't see a whole lot of it. She was just on that couch, seemed to be the majority that I recall.
And then her bedroom later, and then her friends were on the couch later.
Yeah.
Or no, using her
they were,
comforter.
Yeah.
How about the themes? The themes in this film are... obviously sex.
Well, I think it's the relationship between sex and love. Can you have physical intimacy without emotional intimacy? And I think the film develops that answer is no.
Right. And once feelings enter into the picture, it changes everything, even the sex.
Yeah, and it was also kind of interesting in that his character, what was his name again? Alec. Not Alex.
I know. We should have remembered that.
His character, his girlfriend cheated on him. And I think in films it's fairly cliche that a male has extracurricular activities. And that was interesting in that they reversed that a little bit. And they showed that he was emotionally hurt by her wanting to break up with him. And then when he does break up with that girlfriend, he asks her if she had faked her orgasms, and she's like, that's what you're concerned about now? And he has this, I thought, really succinct line. He's like, well, I'm thinking about a lot of things. I'm, thinking about memories and the pain and these other things. But this is like the one thing that he was, because I think that was central to the film, was kind of, again, how their physical intimacy interacted with their emotional intimacy. I think they went to that. I think another thing that the film, I think, looks at is kind of the nature of how things start, right? Is they didn't have the traditional romantic comedy,
courting,
cute meet. They were kind of, like you said, like a bottle up. They were thrown into it, almost like they were dumped into an elevator, right? And they're stuck in an elevator together. And what happens?
What happens then?
Gosh, somebody should make a film about that.
Somebody should. Check your show notes.
Okay.
Alrighty. Was there any head trauma between these two?
I did not catch any head trauma. One ping pong ball bravely gave its life for the film.
Right. In like your scariest kind of way.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Yeah. I will not go into this right now, but I don't like garbage disposals. Let's get rid of them.
Okay. How about well, we know they kiss.
Smoochy, smoochy, smoochy. Okay, I basically just said they smooch repeatedly. There
are too many time codes.
There's a lot of activity of a smoochy nature.
Yes, there's a lot of kissing.
And all over their bodies, by the way.
All over the bodies.
Yeah,
yes,
this is. I should say, if an individual is uncomfortable with certain language or certain sexual themes, this may not be the film for you.
Correct.
It's probably a little bit on the racier side.
Definitely.
But I don't think it didn't feel tawdry to me.
No.
It felt like it was part of the film.
Yeah, it definitely fit within the script and the story.
Yeah.
Driving review, there wasn't much driving.
The only note I have is that I have no idea if a 2008 International Workstar snowplow is an accurate snowplow for the city of New York. Don't know.
Yeah. No, once again, we need our New York audience to weigh
in particular, somebody from the municipal works kind of department that would be able to weigh in on the issue of snowplows.
Yes.
Although I will accept a snowplow expert from other states as well.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. We're not picky.
That's right.
We just want people to talk to us.
Is there a Minnesotan snowplow expert? Welcome to have them talk to us.
There has to be.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we go to the numbers?
Let's go to the numbers.
Okay. This film had a budget, so this is very indie, $1.6 million.
Yeah, that's a tiny budget for a Hollywood film.
That's a wee budget. Domestically, it made $15,600.
Oopsie. That's like a few zeros too few.
Right. Worldwide.
Yeah, there we go.
It came over half of what its initial investment was at $868,000.
So that almost seems like it really didn't have a theatrical release in the U.S.
Right, which this was 2014, so I don't know
why that
necessarily
would be.
Why. I remember, so we've seen this movie before, and did you just kind of stumble on it?
I did.
Okay.
I stumbled on it on a streaming service long after 2014.
Yeah.
So it got, that's why I said it's almost like it didn't get a release here.
Exactly, but I can't understand necessarily why, because it's not like, it was a 2019 movie or 2020.
Right, I don't know why they would bury it, yeah.
It gets a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb, so it's interesting because it's only 0.2 less than last week's movie of Friends with Benefits. Critics really didn't love this, 38%, so it's kind of rotten.
What?
Yeah. Audiences liked it more, 45%. Almost half of the people said, I like this movie.
I strongly disagree with all of those ratings. This is a really good film.
Yeah, you really liked it. I did too, especially watching it a second time. It was enjoyable. It's the perfect length, according to Justin Morrow, 1 hour, 26 minutes.
Oh, he landed it. Way to go, Mr. Nichols. Morrow, thumbs up.
Yeah. It's rated R and it's labeled as a rom-com. The studio that put this out is Apartment 2, Dearest Films, and Flynn Picture Company. Angela Demo and Julie Schubert were nominated for a Casting Society Award for Outstanding Achievement in Casting in a Low-Budget Feature.
There's like 4 people in the film. I mean, good work, but not a lot of work.
Well, we have his ex-girlfriend.
Okay, that's 5. And a police officer, 6. No, that may have been an insanely difficult job.
But casting
to get those two,
Annalena Leo and Miles Teller. I mean, I guess.
Right? Yeah. Look, I don't know. This is kind of like with editor. I don't know how to give a person an award because I haven't seen what they had to work with.
Right. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. Hey. I was teasing. I was making a joke. Actually. Great. If they got an award, awesome. I have no idea how hard it is to be a casting agent, so good on you.
All right. So I was wrong last week. This is the third movie of the month. So...
it seems like, Maura, to listeners, when you watch all these movies and talk about them, it's easy for us to move our finger and lose our place.
I talk about them a week or two before the rest of you hear them.
Oh, you're letting them see how the sausage is made.
I know. So anyway, we're halfway through the month. Please continue to give your guesses. Next week, we will be talking about Carol, followed up by The Sessions. When we, those 2 episodes, we will announce our plans for next year and how we're going to choose our films, and we're kind of changing everything up. And then on our first episode of 2024, we will announce the winner of the contest for December, as well as the whole year, who wins the $100 Amazon gift card. So get those guesses in. You still have time, and each correct guess, well, I guess everybody can only have one, but you at least get one more addition to the contest for the gift card. So anyway, I say all that, but never forget,
Dodges never stop, and neither do the movies.
Thanks for listening to Dodge Movie Podcast with Christy and Mike Dodge of Dodge Media Productions. To find out more about this podcast and what we do, go to dodgemediaproductions.com. Subscribe, share, leave a comment, and tell us what we should watch next. Dodges never stop, and neither do the movies.